Mr. Henry and the Peppy Pepperoni staff should be saying bon voyage right about now. I spoke with him yesterday, and he was pretty excited about this trip that he's planned for his employees.
Woohoo! I'm so glad we were able to get this done. Mr. Henry seems like such a great guy. It was an honor to help him celebrate his staff like this.
Yeah, I'd love to show some amazing sights on a cruise, or go on a safari, or take a trip around the world. That would blow our employees' minds. It'd blow my mind too.
Yeah, that'd be cool to do that for our employees. I would love to see something that amazing, just mind-blowing.
Hey, you know what? This makes me think about the time what it must have been like for when Jesus showed his disciples something pretty amazing too. Actually, what he showed them was beyond amazing. It was tremendous. It was fantastic.
Andrew, I get the point. It was amazing.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to say, I'd give up a lifetime of trips around the world to get a glimpse of what Jesus showed these three disciples. And so, things are kind of wrapped up with this trip here. We've got some other stuff to do, but, we may have some time to take a look at this Bible story before we do.
I think that's a great idea. Let's do it. Today's Bible story can answer our question, why did Jesus perform miracles? Jesus performed miracles to glorify God, to show he's the Son of God, and to care for people.
See, Jesus was full of compassion, and he loved the people around him, and he cared for his disciples. He spent 3 whole years walking around, caring for them, teaching them, and then he chose to show his glory to 3 of them. And he was showing them God's glory because he was the Son of God. He was God in the flesh.
This was an act of love. Exodus 33:20 says, "You cannot see my face, for humans cannot see me and live." This is what God told Moses. But in this instance, Jesus was allowing his disciples to experience God's glory in a very special way. He called the disciples his friends, and he wanted them to know God in a closer way.
So Jesus wanted to bring glory to his Father when he did his miracles. And that's what he said, it was his Father's works. They were part of the purpose that his Father had given him. And he proved that he's the Messiah. He's God's chosen one. And these things, it showed that he was God, and it strengthened people's faith, and it met their needs at the same time.
Yeah, Jesus calmed a storm to show the disciples that he is God. His command of the waves and sea pointed to God's work in creation. Creation must obey its maker. In addition, Jesus miraculously fed a crowd with 5 loaves and 2 fish to show he can give us everything that we need.
Jesus also showed he's God by walking on the water, like we talked about last week. We can trust him to be who he says he is. And through Jesus, God did what's impossible for us to do on our own. He gave us forgiveness and salvation and eternal life with him. Now, we're going to turn our attention to when Jesus showed his disciples his glory. So Simon is going to tell us our Bible story now.
Well, shalom, boys and girls, and to the mamas and papas. I'm glad that you are tuning in to hear God's word. Well, as Andrew and Tiffany have said, we are going to be looking at when Jesus showed his glory to his disciples, to 3 of them. And so if you want, you can see in your Bible, in Matthew chapter 17, when Jesus did this. See, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John. They were like the inner circle that Jesus had. And so he took them up onto a mountain. And Jesus there, he showed them his glory. Now the disciples had fallen asleep and Jesus was high. And then when the disciples woke up, they saw something amazing. They saw Jesus talking to Moses and Elijah. They were like the prophets, the head guys in the Old Testament who told the word of the Lord. And so Moses and Elijah were talking with Jesus, and Jesus' face was shining like the sun in all of its radiance. And his clothes, they are white, like they white as you can imagine. And these disciples saw this and they were terrified. And Peter, he was one of those kind of people that if he didn't know what to say or do, rather than be quiet, he would just start talking. And so he didn't know what he should say. And so he said, oh Lord, it is good that we're here to see this. I can make a tent for you, and then one for Moses and one for Elijah. Well, then he heard a voice from heaven, and it was God the Father. And he said, this is my son whom I love very much. Listen to him. So in other words, Peter, be quiet, stop talking, and listen to him. Listen to Jesus. And then, all of a sudden, Moses and Elijah, they were gone. And they were left there with Jesus. And they started to go down the mountain. And Jesus said, don't tell anyone until I rise from the dead. He was telling them, I'm going to die, but I will come back to life. Well, the disciples then they had the question, and they said, why do the teachers say that Elijah must come first before the Messiah? And Jesus said, well, he does. They're right. He said, and then, but see, Elijah, he has come, and they did whatever they wanted to him, and they didn't recognize him. And then he said, in the same way, the Son of Man, he's talking about himself, he is going to suffer at the hands of these people. See, the disciples, they understood Jesus was talking about John the Baptist. See, he had come and proclaimed, get ready for the Messiah. And then the people, the leaders, they killed him. Well, the same would happen to Jesus. When he came and he said, this is what God says. Well, then the people said, no. And they killed him. See, that is often in our sin. We don't see God's glory. We don't see the glory of His Word. We don't like the light shining in our eyes. But God's glory is so good and so strong and so powerful. So it overcomes that. See, one day Jesus will return and we will be with Him forever if we trust Him, if we turn from sin and trust in Him alone to bring us to God. And we will be with Him in all His glory, and we will enjoy Him and enjoy one another forever. And I hope that you are there. If you are not, if you don't think you will be, talk to your mama and your papa right now. But here in a minute, we're going to tell some more of what happened. We're going to go to Matthew chapter 18. And there see what life looks like for people who do trust in Jesus and who see His glory and see Him for who He is. Jesus has gone, He's shown His disciples His glory. And He has taught them about what happens if someone sins against you in the church. See, even God's people still sin against each other. When you turn from your sin and you trust Christ, you still sin sometimes. It won't be until Jesus comes back and makes all things right that we will not even want to sin anymore. But He said this is how you're supposed to handle that in the church. Well, then Peter naturally had a question about this. And see, Peter, he was learning the truth that God's people, we've asked this question, what should God's people live like? How should they live? And it is they should live like Jesus. Because we could be imitators of God and live lives of love, as Ephesians 5:1-2 tells us. Well, God's people are to love others as Jesus did. And so Peter was learning this truth. And Jesus said, well, Peter, let me tell you, because Peter, he thought he was being generous, and he said, Jesus, if my neighbor, my brother, if he sins against me 7 times, should I forgive him that many times? Thinking Jesus would say, oh, Peter, so good, you're so kind and forgiving. And Jesus, he said that, no, Peter, it's not 7 times, but 77 times. Now, that doesn't mean on number 78 you get to smack them. No, it means you just keep going. You keep forgiving others when they sin against you. And so Jesus told him a parable. He said, let me tell you a story of what God's kingdom is like. If once you trust Jesus, you trust the King, and your eyes are open to see His glory for who He is, then you're going to live in a new way. You're going to love others. And so there was a man, he was a servant of a king, and the king was getting things fixed on the money side. And he said, bring in my servants that owe me money. Well, the man came before the king, and the man owed a lot of money. He owed what it would have been like $6 billion, okay? Do you have $6 billion? I don't have $6 billion. I don't have much money in my pockets or in my bank account. But this guy owed all this money. And so the king said, take this guy and his family throw him in jail, or sell them as servants until they have paid back the last penny. And the guy got down on his knees and said, "Oh, please, please, King, I will work hard and I will pay it all back." No, he couldn't do that. He could not earn that much money. Most people can't earn that much money now, but back then it would have been so much harder. And so the king said, "You know what? I forgive you every last cent. You don't have to pay it back." And he said, "Oh, sire, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, you're just so kind and so merciful. Oh, thank you, thank you." Well then, he left the king's presence, and then he was going back to his job or whatever, and he saw another servant that was, a servant like him, and that guy owed him some money. And he came up to him and he grabbed him by the collar and he said, "Yay, you owe me money. You pay up now, Buster." See, this guy owed him, it was kind of a lot of money. It was thousands of dollars. Not something that you would want to just ignore. But it wasn't $6 billion. And for those of you who have been in math, you know 6 billion is more than a few thousand. And the guy said, "I'll throw you in jail." And so he did. He had the man thrown in jail because he didn't pay him back. Well, some other servants, they saw this, Jesus said, and they were very upset because they knew that this man had been forgiven this big, huge debt. And they came to the king and they said, "King, you forgave this guy." And then he goes out and he wants to throw this other man in prison. This ought not to be, king. And so the king said, "What? Go get this guy. Go get him." And then this is what he said. He brought the man and he said, "You wicked servant, I forgave you because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had on you?" And then in anger his master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay it back. And then Jesus, he finished. He said, "This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother from the heart." See, if the guy really had known that he had been forgiven, it would have so cut him to the heart and so overwhelmed him. He would have been so humble and said, "Fine, you owe me the debt. I'd like you to pay me back, but if not, it is okay. It is okay. I have been shown mercy. I have to show you mercy too." But see, if we think that God forgives in Jesus, it's not that big a deal. My sin, it's not that big a deal. We show that we don't really get it. And that we probably don't have that forgiveness. We just think we do. We think, it's not a big deal. No, God's mercy to us in Jesus is so big, so huge, that it changes us. See, that is what God's people live like. People that have seen His glory, they have seen their own sin and they go, "Oh, and He welcomes me in. I have to be merciful." Now, how about you? Do you show mercy to others? Or do you want God's mercy, but then, boy, if somebody sins against you, bam, you're going to get them. They're going to pay. Nobody talks to me that way. Boys and girls, I want you, mamas and papas, think. Have you taken hold of God's mercy? And then, do you take it this way and then share it out this way? See, that's the only way. You can't just get it this way. If you get it this way, you have to spread it out. Otherwise, it's not real. So that is something for you to talk about now and to think about how it applies to your heart. Now, I look forward to seeing you again. Shalom.
Jesus showed His glory to Peter, James, and John. Jesus said He would die, rise from the dead, and return to heaven. And one day, Jesus will come back in His glory to make all things new.
I can't wait for that day. I mean, I could try to describe it, but I don't have the words to talk about that. The Bible teaches that everything will be perfect, just like it was at the beginning, the way God wanted it to be. There won't be any more tears. God will wipe those away. No more suffering. And the friends and the loved ones that we knew that put their trust in Christ, they'll be there, and we'll see them if we trust Him. But even better than that, God Himself will be there. And we will enjoy Him forever. I mean, and if you trust Christ, then you will be there.
That would be truly amazing.
So now let's do a demonstration to help us see something that might be hidden, but that's really there. Just like Jesus, his glory was there even though it was hidden sometimes. But in today's lesson, it wasn't hidden. So let's take a look. All right, so what we're going to do on this paper, probably can't see anything right now because there isn't anything. I'm going to write something. Okay? Now, I wrote something. It's there, and you watch me do it, but you probably can't see it. But something else is going to show what's on there. See that? Now you can tell. You can see I wrote my name, Andrew, on there. See, it was there once I wrote it, even though you couldn't see it. And it was like that with Jesus' glory. It was there the whole time, but people missed it. He just looked like a normal guy. But in this moment, in the story we had, the 3 disciples got to see Jesus' glory. And one day, it says at the end of the Bible that his glory is going to fill the city, the new Jerusalem, the new heaven and new earth. There won't be a need for a sun because he will be the light. And so this is what they got a little taste of. And if you trust Christ, one day you'll get to see that too. So I hope that you're there.